Righteous Felon Craft Jerky is the official jerky of BellyUpSports. For over a decade, Righteous Felon Craft Jerky has led the American meat snack revolution by concocting delicious, adventurous, U.S.-sourced jerky recipes for uncompromising carnivores across the country. With 15 different flavors to choose from, Righteous Felon has all jerky lovers covered, and by using promo code BELLYUP, you will get 15% off your purchase at RighteousFelon.com. Do your taste buds a favor today and rip into a bag of Righteous Felon jerky.
Storylines, obviously, Club America 4-peat, right? That's going to be the question. You know, America so far they won the Apertura and the Clausura of last season. They just won the Apertura. They won the Apertura again. So for three times in a row, have won the Liga MX championship. And you're going into the Clausura possibly and capable, possibly and probably going to be in the playoffs again to go for their fourth straight Liga MX trophy, which would be very interesting. I think the only team that has been able to do a 4-peat was Chivas de Guadalajara, and I'm sure Chivas de Guadalajara is hoping to not have that happen for them. And if Club America does it, we're talking about one of the most historical teams in Liga MX history, which is the evil empire that is Club America. And once again, like I said, man, this team, if they can just get in the playoffs, because this team was a play-in team. They were the eighth place team. They got the 7th seed because they beat Tijuana in the first play-in game. And as a play-in team, having already played an extra game versus the other teams that automatically qualify for the playoffs, they beat Toluca handedly. I think the next team that they faced off against was no, it wasn't Monterrey. Well, was it Tigres? Yeah, I think it was Tigres actually. They beat that doesn't matter. They beat the next team and then they beat Monterrey. So they really did go through the gauntlet. I don't even think Tigres made it to the semifinal. Anyway, it's not important. It's really not that important. Oh, it was Cruz Azul. They beat the rival Cruz Azul. That's what it was. They beat Toluca, they beat Cruz Azul, and then they beat Monterrey. So they went through quite a gauntlet of teams that were technically better than them that season, and they still went on to win Liga MX. So as far as the people trying to make an argument that the play-in game is unfair to the play-in teams, Club America kind of debunked that immediately. And I think, once again, it's just something about them when they're in the playoffs. They know it's their time. It's game time now. This is their season. This is where their season kicks off, is when they're in the playoffs. So obviously they have a really good coach right now. They have had people trying to nab him from Club America. The Brazilian coach, I don't remember his name off the top of my head, but there's a lot of teams that are interested in him. From what he's been able to do with Club America, and maybe that's something to follow. But I think he is still going to be the coach for Club America. So there is a mentality with this team, and I mean that's just going to be the story: is can Club America achieve the 4-peat? And the other one is Hector Herrera joining Toluca. We talked about this when I was with Musa, about Hector Herrera, how unfortunate what happened with his exits with the Houston Dynamo. If you guys want to know, Houston Dynamo, his contract was up at the end of last season, but there was an option clause where if Houston Dynamo were to activate that option, then Ache would be with the Houston Dynamo for another season. There was also a clause in his contract that if Hector Herrera were to, I forgot, he had to hit a certain number. I don't know what the number exactly was, but he was supposed to hit a certain achievement, and if he were to hit that achievement, he would have been automatically had his option. And for at least for the Dynamo's perspective, it was too much money for a guy that at this point in his career, at least what everyone feels, that he's on the decline. Last season was a little bit odd just because of the fact that he was dealing with an injury. So he was gone for half of the season, comes in, and I mean, I think as expected for someone that is coming off of an injury, to be a little bit slow, but I think still had his moments. But unfortunately, I think the worst part of it all was just the way he exited, which obviously was him getting a red card in the playoff game in the second leg. Well, not second leg, in game 2 against the Seattle Sounders, where he ended up spitting at the referee's direction and it was automatically ejected from the game with a red card. At that point, there's really nothing you could do. That's not professional, and I get all those things. But I'm not gonna, I'm not gonna, discount what he was able to do with the Houston Dynamo. I think he brought in a great mentality. I think he changed the culture. He made it a very selfless team, which was a team that was initially very selfish, a very toxic locker room. As far as from what I've been able to recall from the Houston Dynamo before he came in, he was, and I think that's something that people don't understand about Achacha. He's a very team oriented guy. Like, he cares about building a relationship with his teammates, and he very much did that with the Houston Dynamo. So that's why I'm never, and I mean, maybe I have some bias with Hector Herrera. Maybe I do, maybe I don't. Frankly, I don't care. At the end of the day, we all have our biases, and that's perfectly fine. There's nothing wrong with having a bias towards anything. But that doesn't mean you can change. It can change or anything like that. But I do think Hector Herrera was really good for the Dynamo. I think he was really beneficial to the Houston Dynamo. The only thing I'm worried about is hopefully that the Houston Dynamo continue going on with the foundation that Acha has brought into the locker room. But he is joining Toluca. I think it's a really big signing for them. I think I don't know if missing pieces is the right word for this, but I think bringing in a veteran like Hector Herrera, especially a Mexican, I don't know if legend's the right word for Hector Herrera, but I know a lot of people respect and love Hector Herrera. So for him to come into Toluca, especially with the players they have right now, I think he can immediately be impactful for the team, and maybe able to give them that mindset, along with having Antonio Mohamed, but with Hector Herrera coming in, being able to get them still in this competitive mindset that, hey, it's not over, let's play. And hopefully, I think the only thing that would get in between that is just his temperament. He's a very, I think that the whole Seattle series was just a whole other thing. I think that was just frustration of all things, but I don't think that we're going to see anything like that, knock on wood. But Hector Herrera is a player that plays with his heart on sleeve, and I think that's one of the reasons why people respect him so much, is how passionate he is in the field. And I mean, it could one of those things that could happen on the field. But I think Acha will be really beneficial for Toluca. Can this guy be the guy that helps Toluca get back on track and be back on top of Liga MX? There's time to tell. But I'm really excited about this season. I can't wait for the Clausura to start. It'll be this weekend. So I can't wait. If I had to pick a favorite right now, I might just keep it with Club America. As of right now, early favorite, Club America. I don't think anybody's like doubting America at this point. It's just hard to not have. It's just hard to have doubts in Club America. I don't think they've lost anybody that's monumental for them. Their team is still pretty sturdy. I think if maybe have a better season where they're in a better playoff position, but clearly it doesn't matter where they are in the playoffs. They're going to flip that switch. So we'll see what happens with Club America. I think it's a very solid team still to go. But, obviously, I'm rooting for somebody to beat them. I'm not going to lie. I'm rooting for somebody to not let that 4-peat happen, because that is, at the end of the day, we won't hear the end of it if that's the case.